Hello and welcome to another episode of Caged In. I was supposed to be joined this week by Joe Merle and Phil from Those Movie Guys, but unfortunately for them, they were on a expedition looking for treasure and got trapped inside of a cave that shut behind them. And don't worry, we've got teams out there looking for them right now. But I found my excavating pal, good friend of the podcast, Bob.
Hello there.
From Tonight with Bob and Joe. How are you doing this evening, Bob?
I'm doing very well, man. How are you?
I am very good. Yeah, it's been a fun-packed day. I am ready for some national treasuring.
Okay.
Have you ever? You know the drill by now. If you don't,
Have I ever seen the original film, or this film?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen this film, but I have seen the one before it. I've seen National Treasure 1. Would you call it that? Just call it
National Treasure. Yeah.
But I've seen it. Yeah, and I liked it. I remember liking it and thinking it was better than what I thought it was going to be like. And this is my loose memory of it. I would like you to give me a lowdown on what happened. But my vague sort of abstract memory of National Treasure is a guy is looking for some treasure. He has a scroll of some sort in a leather satchel. Sean Bean comes in at some point and he's very aggressive. And there's a bit where Nicolas Cage wears some green glasses and he can see through to secret messages within an Illuminati, not Illuminati, a Freemasons text or something. That's all I remember about the film, but I remember liking it.
Well, you pretty much nailed it. It's kind of like about this kind of like treasure hunter whose family have been searching for this treasure, which very cleverly ties into things of actual American history. So like has the Declaration of Independence.
Right,
Imagine
yeah.
like everybody knows that famous line where he's like, I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. And like ties in neatly with like historical landmarks, so like the Liberty Bell and stuff like that.
Isn't some of it true as well? Like some of this kind of Freemason stuff about like, is it Washington being built in like weird little pentagrams and stuff like that? That's like factual. They built stuff in, isn't it?
That stuff may be true, but it's not brought up. But like it does that thing. It kind of excites me as well. I kind of really like this kind of treasure hunting, looking for clues, going to places, because it's almost like as a child I remember like elements of thinking like stuff like that could happen. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Definitely, it has happened, right?
Yeah, and like I don't know, just that idea of one day moving a book on a bookcase and it click, and into some unknown, like I don't know.
Yeah, on related note, Peter Jackson has a bookcase like that, and when you move the little book, there's a little tunnel with a plastic skeleton in it, and when you go down, it goes into the little Hobbiton little house, the little Hobbit house.
That's amazing. Wow, that like. Bloody hell! I want an invite to Peter Jackson's house.
I know.
ASAP.
I know.
But yeah, he manages to actually find a treasure. Right. He's being hunted down by Harvey Keitel as well. He's like
what in this one?
In the previous one, he's one of the.
I don't remember Harvey Keitel.
Yeah, he's one of like the FBI agents, and kind of like plea bargains with him at the end to put all the treasure.
Sean Bean's in it as well, right?
Sean Bean. It's a stellar cast.
Wow.
Justin Bartha's in it as this kind of like stooge sidekick who's like kind of a bit of a nace. Justin Bartha, who is probably most famously known as being the guy who misses out in all of the Hangover films.
Right.
The guy who's like Wedding It Is in the first one.
I see. I can visualise his face.
Yeah. And Diane Kruger plays the love interest. Diane Kruger in Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards.
Right, okay.
And who else have we got in there? We've got John Voight as well.
Right.
Playing Nicolas Cage's Ben Gates' father, and like kind of he's pushed away the past of...
This is a Disney film, right?
It is.
Is this based on a ride or something? Or is this like Pirates of the Caribbean? Or
I'm not too sure of that.
It's got that vibe to it.
Yeah. But like, unlike Pirates of the Caribbean, like this feels like it doesn't overstay its welcome and just rely on the wacky portrayal of one character.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like this is, I don't know, this has kind of got like an intrigue of like an Indiana Jones for like a new generation.
And for a younger generation.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, I think like it probably has that novelty as well of playing upon the idea of being somewhat like historical and stuff like
Right,
that. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like,
pseudo-historical.
yeah. So like kids, you can kind of pass it off. This is the type
This
of
is
film,
educational. Yeah.
this is the type of film you would imagine like being at school end of term when the teachers have given up, just want to go on summer holiday.
Like, just fucking watch National Treasure.
Exactly. Stick it on. Your history teachers had enough. They're like,
the first one must have been very successful. They made a sequel, right?
yeah,
I mean, that's pretty
and
good.
there has been talks. I'll say it now. There's been talks for years. Like, it's something that Cage is asked constantly in interviews and stuff like that. Will there be a trilogy? Will there be a third instalment?
Yeah.
In the National Treasure.
It really must have meant something to people, though. Eh?
Yeah, and there's a considerable gap
between the
between
years.
between these. There's a 4 year, like 3 to 4 year gap, which
Wow.
like normally, like nowadays,
Oh, yeah.
sequels are
Next
like
year.
next year. Yeah, they're filming like the first one before the second one before the first one's even released in
Yeah,
the cinema.
or like back to
Or
back,
back to
or-
back.
yeah, totally.
They're just trying to milk that teat dry of a franchise, but like this.
Yeah.
And it seems like I don't know. Cage always seems in interviews like he is gung ho for them to bring back Ben Gates and the Gates family to look for more treasure, and I welcome it. I would like to be a part of his merry band of
all those. Sorry, what were you going to say? Merry band of.
treasure hunting, treasure hunting people.
So would I. So would I. And I barely remember the first film. But what was I going to say? And I was going to say it's a bit like the whole thing's a bit like sort of like what if the Da Vinci Code was kind of light-hearted and actually good or actually cool.
Exactly, yeah. I remember going into the first Da Vinci Code, and all I remember is Tom Hanks's terrible hair.
Well, I suppose some people would say that about Cage's wig as well, though, right?
Yeah, but I think from what I remember of the National Treasure film, it's quite understated and like naturalistic, and like he's not trying to flounce it up like we've seen in like Next, for instance, the last film I watched. His hair is fucking terrible. Like it kind of looks like a like if you have long hair and you put a hairband on, and it's real like scrape back, a really skullety looking cut, and it is not a good look for anyone, especially a man like Nicolas Cage. So I have seen this film as well. So
yeah. Oh, you've seen it earlier.
I have seen National Treasure
2,
Book of Secrets.
Wow.
To give it its full title.
Yeah.
There's only one way to find out what is in that Book of Secrets, Bob.
How's that?
That's to get Raging with Cage. National Treasure, The Book of Secrets. What did you think, Bob?
I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's not it's not avant-garde. It's not going to win any sort of magic awards for anything. The acting's not like incredibly compelling. Cage is fantastic as always. I mean, he's got some great sort of some Cage moments in there as well, and they really do make the most out of him. He's kind of he adds an unusual flair to this kind of movie, or whatever this is, some kind of puzzle, treasure hunting, whatever this genre is. I don't really know what it is.
Like family adventure, isn't it?
Family adventure.
Yeah.
Somehow having Cage there, it gives it. It's not like edginess he adds to it, but he adds a sort of happy madness to it, which really makes it like far more compelling. I mean, I can't imagine this film without him.
It's welcomed as well. He looks like he is having a blast.
Yeah.
As do like many like other of the like cast, and like let's not forget this cast is stellar. Like I think we've got 3 Oscar winners in there. Like Cage himself. Who else have we got? Helen Mirren, obviously, of course.
Wow, yeah.
And possibly, let me think about it. John Voight.
Ah, right, yeah.
And then 2 Oscar nominees in Harvey Keitel and Ed Harris.
Yeah, wow. And Ed Harris, I mean, he's a particularly cool sort of semi-villain, whatever the hell he is in this movie. It's a quasi-villain or something. But he's really great. I mean, he's always great in everything. But it's so great that they have this guy in this kind of family movie, because he's almost too dark for a family movie. Not what he does, but just the way Ed Harris is.
Yeah, well, like he's kind of taken the mantle. For any of you who've seen the first one, of like the kind of Sean Bean character, because obviously
Right, yeah.
in a treasure hunting adventure film, you've always got to have the rivaling factions, both trying to find the treasure, and our hero, Ben Gates, and his ragtag bunch are always one step ahead, but Ed Harris and his nameless goons, he's not really a part of any organisation, he's just kind of got a mirage of hired guns who just turn up when needed. And it's kind of interesting, well, because he seems to have a right hand man who, especially in a scene quite early on when they're in London, the guy who's chasing down Cage, and he gets in the cab and he's the silenced pistol. Do you know the guy I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Who all of a sudden, he seems to be doing a lot of the footwork for Ed Harris.
Yeah.
Just disappears.
Yeah. Oh, that is strange. He's not there anymore. Do you think there was a deleted scene where he flips in a car or something? Or...
Well, I have a theory.
Yeah.
And I think I may have some information here.
Okay.
That he may have been fired.
Oh my God! For what? He stole the treasure before the last scene.
I'm not really too sure. I definitely read it when I was having a little flick through on IMDb trivia.
Okay. That is fascinating. So it's a bit like a sort of Willem Dafoe on the set of Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, he just kind of poofed out of nowhere and was gone.
Wow. I can't think of any other time that's really happened in a film before. But I guess he's not a major character, so they thought no one would notice.
Well, it's like the kind of the guy in one of the Harry Potter, one of Malfoy's goons.
Yeah. Halfway
through the series, doesn't just change actor, changes race.
Wow.
So that's a real crazy.
There's a lot of magic going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think they can get away with it. And I don't know. Yeah, I would just assume in this he got his part had been played, so Ed Harris had him quietly pillow over the head at night, and he was done for. So let's have a little chat about what actually happens.
Fantastic.
In this film. Do you want to kick us off with?
So at the very beginning, we're plunged into a period drama. Set in what century are we in? What was that?
Well, it's the day after the Civil War is over.
Right.
It's the night of Abe Lincoln's assassination.
Which they kind of did you the first time you saw this? Did you get that immediately, even before you actually see him literally assassinate the president?
No.
And that's so the intention is you don't know that's John Wilkes Booth until that moment.
I imagine if you're a bit more
clued up
on American history, I imagine for American audiences they were probably on the ball.
I know what this is.
Yeah. It's rammed down their throat. You know what I mean?
But it's the first thing I was going to say is that it's got a great sort of period detail. I mean, I'm no historian. I don't know if they've nailed the outfits, but everyone looked the part. Everything looks really good. They've clearly tried to make it immersive and atmospheric, and
well, it almost feels like they kind of shot these scenes in tandem with maybe a Pirates of the Caribbean. Like Jerry Bruckheimer's I've got a load of costumes left over from Pirates. You could borrow them if you want for a little bit.
The island of Tortuga.
Yeah.
Suddenly John Wilkes Booth world. Yeah, that's really interesting. I was saying before, because you've just seen that Disney World logo at the beginning. It weirdly looks like it could be a bit of Disney World. That's like the Crazy History World. You know what I mean?
Like you could actually go sit in the tavern that Ben Gates's great grandfather is in when he gets approached by two gentlemen asking him to foil a cipher that they have found, and this kind of sets up the premise for the film, doesn't it?
It also sets up the genre itself. It's we're in for a bit of a crossword puzzle of a movie. You know what I mean? He's or an anagram of a movie. He's trying to sort out the different letters and put it together and things. But then there's a savage moment where the guy's he pulls the guy. The president's been assassinated, and then suddenly Ben's great grandfather suddenly realizes that this is some sort of horrible plot to bring back the Confederates, and then this Confederate guy pulls a gun under the table and says, "Look, you better solve this fucking puzzle, otherwise, I'm going to kill you." And it's a sort of savage moment, and then that kid shows up, this little kid, and he's like, "No, don't kill him," or something like that. And there's this kind of moment you think he's not gonna shoot the kid or the guy in this Disney movie, and then he doesn't. Obviously,
well, obviously he has to survive because the tale could never be passed down from generation to generation, and the plot of this film could not unfurl. But in relation, you mentioning anagrams, here is a fantastic anagram from the Anagram Hunter. I thought I'd slip this one into the episode as opposed to just out of the blue. Benjamin Gates is an anagram for Best Mega Ninja, which is it's a fantastic. It has nothing to do with this film. It is nothing about Nicolas Cage looking for some type of Ming Dynasty treasure. That would be a fantastic.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Hollywood, we got you.
So what happens next? What happens after this? So
flash forward, and it's Cage and his dad are doing like a talk about how. They've essentially been telling the story that we have seen, and there then is a character, Ed Harris's character, is introduced to say what you're saying is bullshit, and to bring the tension into the film. Again, to bring the Gates family's name into disrepute as nutters.
Absolutely, and just to show how high budget this auditorium, like whatever they're doing is here. That what they do is someone puts a camera on him, and suddenly Ed Harris is then projected into the entire auditorium. I thought that's pretty fucking sweet. I wish they actually did that in like conferences and stuff like that.
Imagine that though, going to a Q&A and then like,
excuse me, and then IMAX. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also so Ed Harris is here, and you're already like, okay, so this sort of, I mean, you've had quite a dark beginning. Well, now Ed Harris is here.
He's sinister, lurking on his own, isn't he? Yeah. Nobody sat next to him. I'm not sure if that's because he's had like, I don't know, he's had like a French soup for lunch, so he's like bit garlicky, a bit oniony, or if he's got that sinister vibe, and people are like, oh.
He's also sitting on a balcony, which isn't dissimilar to what we've just seen, where the president himself has been assassinated. So I don't know if that's supposed to be some sort of mirroring or whatever.
I would like to put John Turtletaub to have the foresight to do such a thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Wibblies wrote it into the script that they...
the travelling Wibblies.
The travelling Wibblies. That is not us just talking shit. That is actually who this screenplay is written by. Fantastic.
A family of travelling screenwriters. And then what happens is, so he reveals, he gets his page and he says, look, this is the missing part of this page, and it's going to prove, Nicolas Cage, that your grandfather was in fact a man who assassinated or helped to assassinate the Lincoln himself. And Nicolas Cage is like, no fucking way, and so is his dad. He's like, no way, man. And then he's like, look, let's put these pages together. But they do it after everyone's left. Everyone's left the auditorium, like they've gone home, shaking their hand. We don't see that bit.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, everyone's left. It's abandoned. Now they're putting the page together. Sure, they could have just done it in front of everyone.
Oh, that would have been very tense.
Everyone's like,
HD camera on there. Get that on the big screen.
But speaking of which, so they're putting the page together, and rather than everyone crowding around the page to see whether it fits, everyone just watches the screen. Which I think is kind of maybe it's that a postmodern statement. Because I'd want to see the actual bit of paper put together. I wouldn't be like trusting what the projector is like. I'd be like, no, let's move out of the way. I want to see if it actually fits. You know, it was like, no, I'm happy with the screen projection. Like, and of course, it does fit. And that means that, of course, Nicolas Cage has got to go on a fucking madcap adventure to find out whether or not his grandfather, in fact, was part of this conspiracy.
But the way he does that is he wants to find a lost treasure, or like a lost city of gold. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure how that proves that he didn't.
Yeah, no, I didn't quite work that. I mean, there's just a bit in the film where basically the president is like, don't worry, mate, he definitely didn't do it. And you're like, yeah, fair. But what I thought was kind of interesting is clearly, like, what's his name? Ben Gates.
Ben Gates, yeah.
So Ben Gates is supposed to be, obviously, he's a spelunker, he's an adventurer, he's a puzzle-solving guy. But he's also supposed to be, a history buff and a historian, right? But he seems to go at this case as if he's trying to disprove this new theory in order to make sure that his family name is clear. He's not really interested in the truth. He's just interested in bending the truth toward his version of events, which is very unscientific. It's very, very much not what a historian should do.
Well, it seems that like there is two readings of this film, that either he is a good guy or him and his whole team are fucking arseholes. Because they essentially have no regard for anyone else but themselves and their personal mission, are happy to like run riots on the streets of any city in the world. They seem to have this crazy unlimited budget to go wherever they want willy-nilly. Even after one of the characters, Riley, a returning character from the first film, has openly declared he is broke. His car has been towed.
$6 million in debt.
The IRS have caught up with him because he's been swindled by a corrupt accountant.
Oh my god!
Who's put his money in an offshore account on the island of Tortuga, a fictional place.
I've got to say, the first time you see Riley in the bookshop, he's selling a book which is clearly some of the events that you've seen in the first film, right? Now have been, but including some conspiracy theories. And stuff
he's cashing in on like the fact that they found the lost treasure of the Templars,
right? Of course.
So that's obviously like that's why the title is Lost Treasure of the Templars and other tidbits and
real life mysteries that were proved true or something. But we're introduced to Riley's modus operandi for the whole film, which is essentially gold and pussy. Right there in that thing, right? So like he's literally trying to hit on different girls, but they don't really like him because they know he's not the real treasure hunter. But something about the comedy that was going on there, it's not highbrow comedy. It's not really articulate, but it's quite warm. It's a bit fluffy, but it was sort of well done. The punchlines were kind of, and already then I was like, I think I'm going to enjoy this film. I was laughing along with every beat. And I was impressed by how quickly it could get me into that frame of mind.
Well, there's a thing, you could be very cynical and like imagine there's been other Cage films where I have been very cynical like on the thing, but this is just so warm and you feel like the intentions of it are well, do you know what I mean?
Like wholesome.
And they're trying their best to incorporate as many elements from history, and I've heard Nicolas Cage say in interviews that is a reason why the third film is taking so long, because they have to line it up to some elements of history, otherwise it all kind of falls apart and it's not as exciting as to just go like, this is about like the like I don't know, Franklin D. Bobble Shield of like, do you know what I mean? Kentucky.
They want it to be like some actual relic or some actual connection to if that's actually true, that's quite sweet.
They try and find like, obviously, like looking between the lines of history, like things that could have happened but like we don't quite know, but involving people who actually were involved in history, whether it be Abraham Lincoln or John Wilkes Booth or I'm talking about two people from one event there. There's a whole mirage of other people I could pick.
I'm going to say the first thing that blew my mind about this movie was I had no fucking idea that there was a Statue of Liberty in Paris.
Yeah, you made me pause the film and were like, what?
And apparently it's opposite the Eiffel Tower according to the film as well.
I've never been. I'm taking this film for it, and it makes sense to me anyway, because the Statue of Liberty in New York was a gift to the Americans from the French.
Amazing. I mean, I just had no idea. It just shows you how fucking little I know about history that I need National Treasure 2 to inform me of this kind of stuff.
Well, like, the film is doing more than just giving us 2 hours of entertainment. It's giving us a little bit of knowledge for that little brain box upstairs.
There's a great moment. We've mentioned it a few times, I think, just personally, just talking about the film before. But there's a great moment where he's like, how fast can we get to London? I think as soon as they solved the first puzzle of looking at the Statue of Liberty, they realise that they're going to find this puzzle in this magical desk, this sort of puzzle box desk, which is going to be in Queen Victoria's desk actually, which is
in a study in like the back of Buckingham Palace.
Buckingham Palace, right? And he's like, "How fast can we get to London or something?" And in that moment, like, it really does. In that moment, it is the same genre as the Da Vinci Code. I mean, there's literally a moment in the Da Vinci Code where he's like, "We got to get to a library." Or like, how fast can we get to a library or something? It's exactly the same. And I couldn't help but feel as well that there is something similar about Nicolas Cage's haircut and Tom Hanks's haircut as well. There's something going on there. There must be more going on than just aesthetic similarities as well. I mean, these films, it's like this is kind of for the easygoing, not that interested in Jesus and religion sort of family movie people who go to see this, and then Da Vinci Code is more like kind of adult. It's a little bit edgy.
Yeah.
It's about Jesus. It's about blood. Or
I think the thing, like how this differs to the Da Vinci Code, though, is that this has firmly got its tongue in its cheek.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas, like, the Da Vinci
has
Code,
its tongue up his own arse.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, it's very much like third year, like college, like college student, like. Oh, check out my thesis.
Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, on religion.
Oh, what if she had sex with Jesus and they had some babies?
Yeah, it's very like, I don't.
What if they're hidden in a painting?
All I can think of is a turtleneck sweater and a beret. Someone looking very smug with themselves. But
So immediately the first thing we find out is that Ed Harris is not going to let Cage just knock about trying to clear his grandfather's good name without Ed Harris literally sticking his fingers in his mysterious puzzle-solving pies. So what he does is he breaks into his dad's house in the middle of the fucking night and he knocks out Nicolas Cage's dad. He knocks him out cold.
Not only that, I've got a problem with this because they do it to clone his phone so they can see all the activity, whether it's Ben Gates like calling him or text messages or any clues they can get to be literally level pegging with the Gates tribe and their quest for the treasure.
Yeah.
Surely with like he's an elder gentleman, they could have like someone's pickpocket him or just crept in under the cover of night whilst he's asleep, took his phone from a jacket pocket, cloned it, and then slipped it back.
A stealthier burglar could have just come in and just taken the phone.
So I don't understand why there had to be 3 gentlemen, 1 gentleman to knock him out, 1 gentleman to clone the phone, and Ed Harris to be there to just kind of give them like the well done, boys.
For 1 second, if literally Nicolas Cage's dad, sort of Mr. Gates, Daddy Gates, had seen Ed Harris, surely Ed Harris's shit would have all been foiled immediately.
Yeah.
Like, he just sees them for 1 second before he gets knocked out. He calls Cage and goes, "Look, Ed Harris has been in my fucking house. Like, Mitch has been in my house." That would have been the end of it, right? So why was Mitch there? That doesn't add up. That is a plot hole onto itself. There was no reason for Mitch to be there, just to make sure the job was done right.
All that he needed to do was he had the guy who cloned the phone had tons of phones. All that needed to be was a cutaway scene of him going, "The job's done," and Mitch going, "Fantastic!" And that's all that needed to happen. I don't know.
So then what happens is his dad, thankfully, fucking Jesus, he wakes up the next day alive, not with any sort of long-lasting head trauma or anything like that for being knocked out by this goon, and he calls Cage, who's kind of in the middle of something. I forget exactly what, but some sort of puzzle solving. And he goes, look, son, Ben, I've just been knocked out in the middle of the night by a home invader. And Cage goes, "Jesus, Dad, call the cops." And then he says, "Oh, what would that do? They didn't take anything." And Cage goes, "Okay." And then they move on. Jesus, if someone had broken into the house and knocked out one of my parents, I wouldn't stop until the police had tracked down and found this guy. Or I'd go and fucking find him myself. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be like, let's keep puzzle solving. This is more important. It's not more important. There's been a home invasion. I mean, it's bizarre. It does at that point, does Cage clock that it must be them that has done it? Or does he not? Does he think, that was just a home invasion that's unrelated to the story?
Well, I think he's like, this has been something that has plagued their family for years. Like, do you know what I mean? They've always had a bit of run-ins with people and stuff like that. And I believe he trusts his dad. Like, his dad knows the importance because that was his life before it was Benjamin Gates' life. So, like, he's like...
He was a sort of puzzle solver
too.
Always
got to press on with the mission at hand and stuff like that. And, but yeah, let's talk about Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, okay.
And most importantly... let's talk about Nicolas Cage's English accent.
Yeah. Is that in the hotel?
No, it's in Buckingham Palace
that's
when
in
they have the
Buckingham Palace,
argument.
is it?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
When he has the argument and like he's pretending to be drunk and like
It's fantastic. It's really well. I mean, obviously the accent's terrible. It's shocking, but like in a kind of funny way.
Yeah.
But it's a brilliant moment because that whole bit is like an extendo Cage moment. It's like what you want. He's freaking out. He does the arm thing that I was talking about. That he does, you know.
Well, he does the. There were glimpses of vampires kiss Cage in this.
Yeah.
Like it's when he kind of like the gestures and like the point at Diane Kruger's character is like, fuck, that is the guy. Like,
yeah.
I love and like him shouting haggis is fucking great.
Yeah.
And all this is a ploy though, so him and Abigail get locked up inside of like the prison in Buckingham Palace.
It's really quite inadequate, that prison as well. It's like it's like a bit of sort of mesh. It sort of looks like what you'd use to maybe like a bike to store your bikes on a train.
Yeah, or like like a beer store, like if you've ever worked in a restaurant, like just a kind of beer cage where they keep the booze separate. And it's very bizarre.
Why does Cage take those flowers? Because he takes those flowers from the thing in that scene.
I'm not really too sure.
Because I didn't understand. So he takes the flowers and then Riley lets them out through his kind of wizardry. And then they get into a dumbbell together, one of these kind of weird, like,
dumb waiter,
sorry, not a dumb waiter, and then they travel up there together, and then he's still got the flowers, but I'm not really sure why he took the flowers. There's some sort of romantic gesture or what?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Or maybe so if like someone sees him, he can look like he works there moving flowers around or something like that. I'm just putting this vase in the Queen's study.
Oh right, okay, that sort of makes sense.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
Also, it's got just to go back to that scene where he's sort of he's caging out in the lobby. When he wants to seem like he's drunk, so he gets a tiny bit of alcohol on his fingers, puts it on his tongue, and then puts it on either side of his neck there. Why? I mean, if this really shows what a family-friendly film it is, because I mean, Cage would just drink that fucking drink.
Neck the miniature.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, why not? But like, the idea is, it's a family friend. He couldn't do it. If everyone, I'd be like, oh fucking hell, like, who was this guy?
One of the only things I can think though is maybe like because he knows what they're doing is important. He's got to have all his facilities at hand. Yeah, he can't be actually.
But no one's got a vice in this movie. You know what I mean? This what you see that in a lot of family movies and stuff like that. No one's even really depressed or anything. There isn't. There's no shadow looming over the film. I mean, it's actually only toward the end where you get like real, like, serious, like, death starts to happen. I mean, there is a death at the two deaths at the very beginning, Lincoln and of course the grandfather. But I mean, the more like actual, like, there's trauma going on. It's like much later, you know. What else happens after that? What's going on? Oh yeah, so they go up, they find this fucking desk.
They find the desk, they find like a bit of wood that happens to be like with some Native American scripture on there, and they only know one person who can translate it, and it happens to be Mama Gates, played by Helen Mirren.
Can we also just talk about that puzzle box scene and the desk? Because
Yeah.
I think the way they show you the interior of the actual puzzle box, so every time they get a combination, that you see whether or not like the number one works, and you see the tone go down. It was a real great visual way of explaining it. I think you pointed out something about it though, right? That they don't close the shelves. They don't actually close the each.
Well, you don't see them.
The drawer. They don't actually close the drawer, but
Because they start over again when they get it wrong, and then you see them pull the drawers out again, but they never closed them in the first place.
Yeah.
And why would they close all four drawers when it's only the last two numbers they're changing? Because it's like the first number they go for is like 1864 for instance,
exactly.
and then the second one is like 1871. So you would only have to change the last two drawers.
Despite that, I think it was a real neat visual way of showing.
Oh
that
yeah,
puzzle.
definitely.
Yeah.
But obviously, one thing about this podcast that it will do for me is make me look for flaws in films that I particularly enjoy.
Yeah. So we're in Helen. We go to Helen Mirren for her translation abilities, right?
Yeah, and she's like
32 years it's been since she's seen her ex-husband. 32 years.
I can't fathom it. Maybe because I haven't been alive for 32 years.
Yeah, no.
Like, I don't know.
They neither of them react. Maybe it's because they need that comic scene. So as they go in, the dad and the mum immediately start arguing about a travel situation that happened on holiday, whereby he left like toothbrushes in a suitcase that went missing in a taxi or something.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the gag, but really it has been 32 years since they've seen each other. I mean, it's been so long that there should be a little bit more of an emotional punch there in that moment, I think. I mean, Jesus, if you saw your ex-wife, the mother of your child, after 32 years, it would be a bit of a, wouldn't it?
I think the thing they're trying to play on, though, is that, like, to let you see instantly that the spark may still be there.
Yeah, it's just like yesterday.
They're still bickering
like,
like an old married couple.
You also notice, I mean, maybe it is that Cage just goes to see Helen Mirren every weekend, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of love there. She doesn't I think they do embrace briefly, but there's not like oh, how you doing, Ben? There's no kind of love. There's no like real kiss on the cheek. It's kind of weirdly it's a bit of a sort of alienating atmosphere. I mean, Riley decides to sit out of the whole thing.
Well, they're kind of a weird stoic family of just being very like academic and like, I don't know. I imagine like...
And that's what they're going for. You don't think it's a mistake of the film? You think they want to show you that these kind of history people can't do love very well?
I don't know. Like, all I can think is she's like a university professor.
Right.
He's like an aloof treasure hunter.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't
and
really...
Cage is in the middle somewhere. He has a problem with his girlfriend saying the word "so."
Yeah, well, like, he was the one I was referring to as the aloof treasure hunter.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the dad is, I don't really, I'm not really too sure.
Retired aloof treasure
hunter. Yeah, exactly. I don't, maybe because I enjoy this film, I'm giving it, like, do you know what I mean, more of a benefit of a doubt than it maybe deserves. But, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But what I was going to say as well was that the concept of hiding stuff inside, like these desks. The film is really all about finding things in desks, which should ostensibly be a boring topic, but it isn't. They managed to make it quite fun. But it reminded me of how Jack White, before he started the White Stripes, he used to have an upholstery company. Have you heard this story before?
Yeah, and he used to hide old like 7-inch singles and like CDs or tapes, or
old sofas. And stuff.
In sofas, which is fantastic.
I know, I love that. I just wanted to add that.
And so things go on. They go to the White House and try and find the other bit
desk
of wood in the other Resolute desk.
Ooh, it's one sexy scene the whole film, that isn't it? This one scene. Because basically what happens is so Nicolas Cage's Ben Gates' ex-missus, who's also been in the first adventure, she's now sort of got with someone who works in the White House, which is how during a sort of Easter fair she managed to wangle them into the fucking
Oval Office.
And what she does is, in order to distract his attention from Nicolas Cage like philandering with this desk, she drops an earring but sort of secretly keeps it, but then she has to do sexy things to distract the guy. So she's got her tits out, he's sort of looking at them, she's sort of leaning down, they're bending down together.
Ooh.
And she ends up full blown sort of making out with him for ages at one moment, while Cage kind of watches in a sort of weird voyeuristic depression
in a pinstripe, a very tight pinstripe suit. It's a white and blue, which like, I'm not sure if it happens on every TV, but was just really fucking with my eyes.
Proper fucking optical illusions.
Yeah. And there's a really weird exchange as well during the Easter fair with Nicolas Cage and a small child just like debating history, and like this child accusing the Gates family of like being like tarnished and that
they're like assassins.
Yeah, they're assassins. And then there's the kind of like argument, and this kid's like throwing out conspiracy theories and stuff like that, and all I thought was, what a fucking little prick.
Yeah. I don't really. I think obviously it's comic, that scene, and it's also it's to show that like Nicolas Cage, that Ben Gates isn't above arguing with a child about something like this as well, which really shows you how petty he is as a man. He won't even give it to the kid. He's like, there's no fucking way. My family didn't lie. My grandfather wasn't a liar. He will say that to a fucking child.
But the thing is, as well, is I think that is what he was like as a child.
Yeah, right.
Benjamin Gates would have been reading all these theories on history and stuff like that, and been that annoying little kid who would be like, "Oh, do you know about this? Do
you know about the pyramids?
Yeah. Let me tell you about the
I
pyramids."
suppose, on a more practical note, I think the reason for having that scene with the kid is to imply how widespread the news has become.
Yeah.
That Cage's family are responsible. So Ben Gates' family are
Yeah,
responsible.
it's even hit the playground.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, if it's hit the playground,
it's big news.
it's big news.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. That must be it. And then what happens after that then? So we've got...
They find out that in the desk, the piece of wood is missing, but there is a stamp for the president's secret book. But Benjamin Gates, Abigail, Papa Gates have no knowledge of this. The one man who does know about the president's secret book,
Riley.
Yeah,
and also he won't just fucking tell you it. He makes you go into the back of your van. Was it a van, or was it more like, in my memory, it's
like a
weird
VW,
an ice cream truck or something. and then they pull out this book, which they imply that Riley's obviously like he's treated like a real little bitch, because he is a bit of a little bitch. But like Cage doesn't even bother to open this fucking book, and he's like, "Oh, he didn't even open." He's so he didn't get round to it. Opens it up. He makes him turn to the page, look at it, and then Riley gives a slightly smarmy, really fucking smarmy explanation about it. He could have just said, "I know what this is, guys."
Yeah.
He even goes to Cage and he goes, "Oh, you know, if it was you saying this to me, after one sentence I would have believed you, but you're making me really like explain this too much."
And let's talk about Riley's book as well. Just the cover,
like a piece of shit.
Yeah. It is the type of book that like you would like. The cover is literally black and just says like in this kind of like a Times New Roman font, just like the treasure of the Templars. And it just looks like a conspiracy theory. It looks like a David Icke book. It looks like
not as good.
Yeah. It's probably some similar stuff in there. Apparently at one point you see a page in the book that I think it's early on when he is flicking through, and the document briefly seen in Riley's book is the autopsy report of Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, wow.
So obviously, like, tying into the whole, like, maybe the JFK stuff and, like...
God, that's attention to fucking detail, that they even... You know, wow, I love that they bothered to actually print something on the page that was, because I've heard about stuff like, I remember there's an episode, I love The Sopranos, I love that show so much, but there's an episode in it where he reads a newspaper and they've sort of glued it together, they've sort of collaged it together, clearly in a bit of a rush, and like it's all like it doesn't make sense, or it's like it's the same text printed in every box or something like, and you know, it's good, it's nice that they paid attention to detail with this. I like that. It's cool.
Well, it's a film that is built up on tiny little details. And now that they know about the secret president's book, they've got to talk to the fucking president.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Have we missed out the bit where they go on that crazy car chase yet with the Fullers?
Yeah, that was back in London.
Oh, was that back in London? That was fucking nuts, though. So they've got this crazy... this is when the hitman goes missing, right? So when he just suddenly disappears. But there's a bit where they're literally driving down the road. They've like... I mean, it's very dangerous. Don't know what's going on. Riley's cracking jokes in the back. And then suddenly there's just this Fuller's van. And it's like really like full frontal Fuller's advert.
Full of casks for like I don't know, premium ales, a nice bitter,
and then suddenly there's some sort of they hit into the back of it, or someone hits into them, and then all the Fuller's barrels come out and start spraying beer across the street and stuff.
And all I could think is just being there, sipping booze off of the streets of London, the cobbled paths.
Fantastic. Yeah, so they go see the president. And,
they have a plan.
Okay, they got a plan.
They're like, we've got to talk. I've got to get the president singled out on his own. No minders, no aides.
Yeah. I've got to kidnap the president.
What? This is definitely this film's I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence moment. The moment where you go, he has jumped the fucking shark. He is like, he has surely got to be joking. Like, how the fuck is he gonna pull this off? And he does it pretty simply, actually, doesn't he? Just kind of like...
It's simple, but it would require a man of Ben Gates' stature to even know about the way that he decides to kidnap him, basically. That's it.
Yeah, because he manages to infiltrate a party...
I mean, it's so elaborate. So first of all, it literally cuts from there to like Nicolas Cage with scuba diving gear going into some water, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on here? And then we realise that his dad is dressed up like a fisherman and is in a boat outside the party. I mean, this is really elaborate stuff. And then what happens? Oh yeah, the fisherman gets apprehended.
Well, not only have they have made sure that it is at this exact location as well by calling in a lot of scares that pipes have burst in hotels and stuff like that, and booking up all the hotels on a specific day so that the president's birthday has to be at Mount Vernon, because Cage has a little present up his sleeve that he knows will help him in fulfilling his task. And that is underneath Mount Vernon. There is a series of tunnels that was built there for it says something about the slaves or
he says,
escape.
He says that this was given to me by someone, and it was originally found by a black slave who used to live here or something.
Called Charlotte, which is a reference to the first film, because the first clue we get in the entire National Treasure saga is the secret lies with Charlotte.
Wow.
In that Charlotte happens to be a boat, but still it feels that the name is significant.
Has some connection,
bringing it back.
I've got to just say right now that nothing excites me more in life, really nothing excites me more other than beautiful women, than secret fucking tunnels in the ground. I mean, I love that shit. I mean, as soon as I saw the blueprint, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Even though I know, it's National Treasure, they're going to be a bit paper mache. There's going to be some dodgy spiders knocking about and some sort of fake cobwebs, which they were. I don't mind it. I love the fact that people are going underground buildings and they're looking at tunnels. And I think they did it kind of quite well. It was a bit Crystal Maze, you close one door, it closes another, and that's how he ends up kidnapping the president. So, he basically, Cage goes in and then, he gets him in a room and what does he do? Does he just push a certain lever or pushes the door and it closes behind them?
Well, no, he just closes it. He just pulls it closed and you're going to fucking have a little chat now, mate. And he asks him about the Book of Secrets, the titular Book of Secrets, and says, this is the only way I'm going to be able to clear my grandfather's name. You've got to help me. You've got to really help me out here, Prez. Because I'm in a bind. And he says, I'm talking to you as a man. This conversation never happened. And then he reels off a load of numbers and facts about the book exists. It's in the Library of Congress. And, here's, 17 numbers you've got to remember, and fucking Ben Gates is there no worries, mate.
He remembers all these numbers.
Got it, see you later. And he's already marching off, and the president's like, no, you forgot about these numbers. He's like, got them as well, see you later, mate. And then bang, 20 minutes later, he's there at the fucking...
One thing he does say to Ben, but just to warn him, the president says, look, Ben, you realise after this you're going to be arrested for kidnapping the president. After this. Now, this is a funny thing, because why is that the case? Could it not have been that the president simply says, look, we were a little bit drunk. We went down into those tunnels underneath there because we thought it'd be fun, and he had this map, and we didn't realise the door was going to close, and it did, and we're fine now, so don't worry about it. But he wasn't trying to kidnap me. That's all the president has to say.
Yeah.
But instead, he doesn't say that, and then it launches like a fucking manhunt run by Harvey Duck-loving Keitel to track him down.
Well, I feel that this is just a device by the filmmakers to put to turn the heat up and really get the... Do you know what I mean? Not only have we got that Ed Harris and his goons are after Ben Gates, we have the fucking FBI run by Harvey Winston Wolf Keitel. And you can see the mechanics of the plot working in that moment.
They don't really use Harvey that well in the film, other than the duck bit that I think we'll talk about. That's coming up, I think. But like
talk about it now.
We'll talk about it now. So there's a bit where I think you might be able to explain it more. They're talking on the phone, they're asking a question, and then Harvey Keitel just says,
they're talking in the FBI office,
right? Okay,
because I think it's
about the Book of Secrets.
About
does
the
it
Book of
exist?
Secrets.
He's like, does the Book of Secrets exist?
Yeah, because this is before he goes to see the president. He's asking about the Book of Secrets, and then he says to him, "Do you like ducks?"
And then immediately cuts to does it cut to some ducks?
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. But that really is kind of like Harvey Keitel's moment in the sun in this movie. He looks fantastic. He looks really young and like just generally like cool Keitel throughout. But he's not like, he's never given that cool police chase moment. He's never really, he doesn't get his time in the light, you know.
Yeah, but like the thing with that is like he kind of had the similar role in the last film.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, of just kind of like he's there. We'll cut back to him every now and then,
just to remind
and
you
just
he's there.
a nice little like pat on the back to go, it's all gonna be all right. Harvey's here.
Yeah,
but seeing these moments of those two together just always reminded me that they have a link together, in that they've both played the same character in the Bad Lieutenant films.
Oh, of course.
Obviously, the original Abel Ferrara Bad Lieutenant is played by Harvey Keitel.
Wow.
And then in the Werner Herzog remake, it's played by Nicolas Cage.
That's amazing. That's amazing, man. Yeah. Would Cage have known that he was going to do that film when he was making this? Would he have like gone
Possibly not, no.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
this would have been 2006, 2007.
So some years later, yeah.
So I believe Bad Lieutenant is maybe 2009, 2010.
Right, wow, yeah.
So possibly not. That wouldn't have. It maybe have been very early stages.
Yeah.
But I don't think so. Like I would love to hear.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's that kind of serendipitous moment that like how those two people are connected in this film. That is just really on paper should make no sense. All these actors in this film. If you had said like there is an child-friendly family action-adventure film about treasure hunters starring Nicolas Cage with Harvey Keitel, John Voight, Ed Harris and Helen Mirren,
I mean, wow.
tell you to fuck off. To be honest, if that's what someone said to me, I'd be like, I think you've hit your head. It makes no fucking
It's a
sense.
fever dream.
Yeah. So like they've got more clues and they're barreling on, and they like managed to find the fucking Tomb of Doom, or like the Tomb of Gold.
Yeah.
And
just before they find it, the way they find it is that they somehow they got bottles of water, and they're on the top of Mount Rushmore, and they decide, he's like, we gotta splash this water on the rock or something like that, and they don't have that many bottles of water. They just basically got one each, so it's really lucky, or maybe it's just fate, it's destiny, but they managed to splash the water in the right areas of rock, and the action music is like dun 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 as they're splashing bits of water on from plastic bottles. I mean, it is supposed to be funny, I get that, but like it's so silly that you're almost like, fuck this, they could have come up with a better way for them to they could have come up with a better way to like reveal this fucking hidden golden city, but nonetheless they do. And then there's this bit where he's got to shove, basically Nicolas Cage has got to shove his hand in a mystery hole in the rock.
Yeah, which always reminds me of I think the same gag is used in the Goonies, where someone has to do something very similar. They have to like move your hand in here and like move it, and it could get trapped or something like that. But Cage is fucking great with it. And like just like it's quite a tense moment. Not but 5 minutes earlier did Ed Harris like have guns pointed at his mum and like threatening to kill them all.
Yeah.
Now he's like larking around going ah, and then like as soon as everyone looks like scared, he's like, hey, go yeah.
He doesn't give a shit. Yeah. They're literally been kidnapped. There's a weird vibe of that. I want to talk really about Mitch a lot, about throughout this sequence as well. Throughout the film, like generally a bit mysterious, as we said. Why is he at the crime scene? What's going on? But really, Mitch is a strange character because they seem to like to cooperate with him as a team, even though he's clearly a mad fucker who will shoot them at any moment, and he makes that obvious at various points. And he really is going like, look, you're going to fucking take me to the Temple of Gold, or I'm going to kill you. I'll kill your mum. I'll kill your girlfriend. I mean, at one point he's got his knife to Nicolas Cage's like ex-girlfriend's fucking throat. I mean, literally so many points. But he's forgiven time and time again. And I'm not quite sure why. Is it just to make it more of a family-friendly atmosphere?
I don't know. I think it's Ben Gates tries to just like. I think he's trying to uphold like an American idealism of like, I don't know,
treasure hunting.
No, but he's just an all-American good guy. He's who'll look in the eye of adversity and do the right thing. Do you know what I mean? Like the noble forefathers before him. Do you know what I mean? Like his full name is Benjamin Franklin Gates. Right. So named after a former president and whatnot. But like, I think he just tries to have some like element of nobility about him because he seems to be from some. I'm not sure what the lineages is.
A Da Vinci Code style bloodline of presidents.
Yeah, of like just nice bloody blokes. I don't really know. Yeah, I would guess that it is a thing of like you can't really have like last night I watched Paddington 2.
Right, okay.
And that film had doesn't have really the bad guy doesn't have like a full comeuppance at the end really.
Yeah.
It's dealt with off camera because like I feel like in children's films they kind of have to like
they don't want to show the electric chair,
and there's elements of redemption that could happen for anyone. Do you know what I mean?
He rehabilitates himself by whatever.
Yeah,
stroking some bears. But Mitch isn't. I mean, he is a bad guy clearly because like you were saying about Ben Gates's team, they endanger the lives of people as well in their crazy car chases. But Mitch is obviously a much worse guy. He breaks into people's houses, knocks out their fucking dad, clones their phones. I mean, he's a bad guy, and he's doing all this. In the end, he reveals that actually he knew that Cage's ancestors were not assassins to Lincoln. That in fact it was all a big ruse that he set up just so he could get Cage to lead him to the Golden Temple under the ground,
to get his name in the history
to
books
get the Mitch
as
name
the man
out there.
Who found the Golden Temple, which is not true.
Yeah, I know. What was their fucking? But literally, as soon as they go in, like, what were they thinking? Because literally, I mean, it seems like it would be so easy to be trapped inside there. I mean, at one point, at several points, and very much at the end, it looks like they're going to all die down there.
Well, there is something I learnt from National Treasure 1.
Yeah,
and it's basic building in a lot of ancient temples and stuff like that.
Right.
That there's always got to be a second way out.
You're right.
Because if you're sealing up one entrance,
right,
for someone to find thousands of years later, how are the men who built it going to get out? Unless it is some kind of like
mystical shit,
or like One-Eyed Willie from the Goonies, where he's got his like crew to build all these traps and stuff like that, and then killed them all. Some kind of like, you know what I mean? Some kind of old.
Yeah.
You always hear it in like old like pirate stories where they get the crew to build all the. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then they kill the crew, so nobody knows, but there's just one man who happens to get out. Like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe that was.
But so we have this scene which is actually similar to Pirates of the Caribbean has that bit where Johnny Depp and Orlando Bloom have a fight over that bit of wood. It's a bit of wood that keeps slapping them in the face. It's sort of spinny bit of wood. And they have another spinny bit of wood in this that turns the door, and basically it takes two strong men, i.e. Mitch and Ben Gates, to turn this thing. And basically Cage is put in a situation where he's got to essentially either sacrifice himself, his parents, or his ex-girlfriend, or Riley, but no one gives a shit about Riley. And in the end, he basically says, "Look, I'm going to stay behind, and I'm going to open the door for you guys." But somehow that doesn't go very well. And then what happens? And then basically Mitch ends up being the one on it, and he's like, "Look, I'm going to kill myself."
Well, the current just gets too strong. Ben gets trapped by a door, but before they even like he manages to get out, but there's a crazy moment inside this tomb with like that just reminds me of like computer games and like made me excited because I'd love to play that in a computer game. Where on this kind of like tilter table, just like on like it's like balancing like balancing a beer mat on a pencil kind of like scenario, and they've got to get the weight right, but then there's a ladder that's just out of reach.
Yeah,
so you've
that's a great scene actually.
Yeah, and like I just love like you can see that in like an Uncharted game or like a Tomb Raider game, and it's like almost exciting to be like, how would you figure that out? Like
it's actually quite fucking scary as well. There's moments where like Mitch he's a brave man. He's the first one to jump onto that rickety ladder. I mean, it literally just breaks. The second rung breaks as he climbs up it. I mean, it's super spooky. I'm afraid of heights as well, so it really gets.
Well, you said as well you were having heart palpitations. I was watching that.
Yeah.
But like, and it had the classic like these films wouldn't be the same without the bottomless pit. Oh,
it does have a bottom though, doesn't it? Because you see some skulls at one point.
Yeah, but obviously like, to them,
effectively bottomless.
To them, you just see the darkness. Like, and I'm not talking about Justin and Dan Hawkins. Yeah. I believe in a thing called love. Not them. that would have been. Some would argue far scarier.
But yeah, so they get in there. Oh yeah, Riley's like shouting up. He's like, "Oh, what you doing up there, Mitch? Is there any girls up there, Mitch?
Any pussy?" But when they find, like, just before they get out, they find like the gold room, and even Riley then is trying to put like bullion into his backpack.
Heavy fucking shit,
and that's all he cares about is gold and pussy.
It's literally, I was like, you're over encumbered. You're not going to do it, Riley. You can't move.
And then they get out, and everything seems to be A-OK.
Yeah.
And
Mitch is dead. And in a real sad scene, we sort of see all the water run over his face.
Which is very like
really.
It felt like that could have definitely dealt with being on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. And we just sort of see his face submerged in the. It's a dark tone,
and they are pulled straight out of the tomb to go see the president.
Yeah,
who talks about, because he had given Ben Gates the location to the Book of Secrets and had said to him, look on page 47, and in this moment he shows them like, here's the newspaper for tomorrow, like, don't worry, your family name has been pulled from the mud. And like he says, did you have a chance to look on page 47? And Ben Gates replies, yeah, I believe I can help you with that. Which for me screams that they are leaving them threads loose for a sequel, which is like, you fuckers.
Wait, say that again, sorry? Why do you think they're leaving the thread, sorry?
Because the president said to him, like, just before he leaves, like when he gives him the location of the Book of Secrets, he says, one more favour for me. Have a little look on page 47.
Yeah.
And then brings it back up at the end and says, like, did you get a chance to look on that page? And he's like, yeah, I'll be able to help you. I'll be able to help you with that, Prez.
Oh, I didn't even fucking notice that.
Yeah. So, like,
because one of my other points I was going to say, there were no cliffhangers. I didn't think there were. Or not cliffhangers, but like for another night.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. Like, maybe page, I don't know, the sequel could have been called, like, National Treasure. Page 47.
Wow, that sounds looking serious.
Yeah, like, and I'm just like, but there is where they could have left it.
Yeah.
For an ending. Yet they have two more endings.
Oh no! What are they? Oh yeah, so Riley's car.
Well, no, they have before Riley's car. They have like kind of them all having like fireworks going off. And like Riley manages to like meet a girl who actually knows that he is who he is.
Yeah, he drops some ceramics.
Yeah, Ben and Abigail like talk about like a dispute they had earlier about like tables that he was going to move out of her apartment.
He's like, keep the tables.
She's like, he's like, keep the tables. Don't worry. She's like, well, I'd like to keep the tables, and maybe you can move in as well.
She just wants the tables. It's an elaborate ruse.
And that would have been a lovely bow on the film and could have been done with. Yet we have to get this horrible tacked on scene at the end of Riley with his Ferrari with a note from
The president? What the fuck? Like, what? Honestly, why would the president have any idea about his fucking, bills? This $6 million that he owes or something. Like, why does he know about that?
And why is the president just giving favours to like
A criminal, a parking violation criminal.
jumped up pricks who have Ferraris as well? Who, but I may add as well, can't even fucking drive a Ferrari. The moment he gets into it, reverses straight into another car.
I know. I really wish it hadn't had all those false endings. To be fair, when you see the fireworks going off over Mount Rushmore, it should have ended there.
Boom.
Yeah, that's it. That's fine. What the fuck? Why have that tax on Riley thing? I think sometimes films with sidekicks, there are a lot of films with sidekicks, they get this impression that we really love the sidekicks. And this was a film where I don't think that Riley was funny enough or interesting enough to warrant that kind of affection. So in the end, we definitely didn't need to see another bit with him. He's not the Shrek donkey. We don't really like him. You know what I mean?
No.
He's just he's a bit of a dick.
The main man we're here for is Ben Gates, because he's something about him is endearing,
compelling,
and like charming.
Yeah.
So that is it for the film. Is there any other points that you would like to bring up, Bob? Is there anything that's like niggling you about this film?
I think we covered it. I think we covered it just about. I think it is there's an. I think you mentioned it earlier. I think the idea of it being like there's an educational vibe to the film. I feel a little bit educated, even though I'm not sure what was true, what was false. But I feel that it's an inspirational film, maybe for the El Niños, for the little children. I feel, and maybe some kids will want to grow up and read some cool books or go hunting for the magic treasure.
So, is that you giving this an endorsement for saying watch this film?
Absolutely, I would definitely. I would especially recommend it for the families.
I would recommend this film, like, not just for families, but if you are very hungover,
yeah,
stick this on, and it will make you like get a nice little takeaway in, maybe a curry, chicken tikka masala, pashwari naan.
I want to watch it again now.
Pilau rice. We'll get some onion bhaji's. We'll maybe have a shandy because we're still feeling a bit fragile from the night before, but we still want to take the edge off a little bit. Stick this on because it's fun. Like it's like that's what it is. You can tell Cage is having fun. You can tell the cast are having fun, and like just to see, like these Oscar winners and like I don't know, kind of serious talent just having a bit of a. Almost like the equivalent of like a kick around jumpers for goalposts down the local like fields. It's just kind of, and it's very light and fluffy, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would recommend it. Nice. So let's have a look, Bob, if we are vindicated by the World Wide Web.
Yeah, let's see.
How do you think we're going to do? Do you reckon we're going to get there?
Is this out of 100? Is this on the Rotten Tomato?
Well, we are going to see what scores we have got. We have got 3 scores. Those are from IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, and Common Sense Media, who I have never heard of before. But that is what Google has given me.
I reckon it got like a 7 on IMDb.
Well, I'm going to give you 3 scores right now, and we'll discuss whether the internet is full of fucking morons or lovely blokes like me and Bob. Okay. IMDb gave this film a 6.5 out of 10.
Ooh, close.
Rotten Tomatoes, a 36%.
Whoa.
I feel is very harsh, and Common Sense Media, I don't know who the fuck they are, so their opinion doesn't really matter, but... a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. Whoa, that's weirdly harsh. Maybe I was just really in the right zone for this, and those guys weren't. I don't know, but I just don't think it warrants that kind of negativity. Like especially what was that 33% on what?
36%. Yeah.
I think it deserves a bit more than that. I mean, I've seen some real pieces of shit that get more than that. Dear Christ. Yeah.
I am convinced that Next had more than 36% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that is a travesty compared to this utter joy that is National Treasure Book of
Maybe this is
Secrets.
part of this is the curse, the treasure's curse of family films, is that they'll never really, unless they're classics like your Home Alones and stuff. People will never sort of embrace them because they don't have enough adult content. So it's kids aren't on IMDb going, oh, I like that. So that's it.
Well, I don't know if they're anything like the kid in this.
Oh yeah, maybe
They probably are.
And trying to accuse your ancestors of all sorts while
Yeah,
they're
they're a bit more highbrow. Is it directed by Jim Jarmusch? No, it's John Turtletaub.
some of his lesser work actually.
So, that is what we thought about the film. That is what the internet thought about the film. So there's only one thing left to do, and that's to say, keep on searching for that treasure, guys. If that may be a physical thing, if that may be a spiritual thing, if that may just be a connection with another human being, please do not find connections with animals unless it's just a dog that you want to hold and cuddle and give a little stroke. Don't be putting fingers in no bums, because that's no good for nobody, and that's not going to unlock any caves for hidden treasures. That's just going to unlock a lawsuit and a lot of time in prison. So, I've been Petros Patsilivus.
I've been Bob.
We've been Caged In. You've been lovely. Bye.